Please keep watching Global Conference TV.
Please keep watching Global Conference Television.
You are watching Global Conference Television.
Changing the world
one inspired
and transformed person at a time.
You're watching Global Confidence Television. Play with your kids with Nikki Bush.
You are watching Global Conference Television with Nikki Bush. Play with your kids. Thank you so much, John, and welcome to all of you. And I am so excited to hear about a family-friendly MBA. In fact, one of my passions, and I was at one of your competing business schools last year, talking about the importance of having conversations around parenting and education in the business context. Because we are raising the next generation of talent. You guys are raising the next generation of talent that business is one day going to employ. The minute you feel guilty, your children can manipulate you. So we have to learn some strategies to help those of us who are long on love and short on time. And that's me. That's everybody sitting in this room. That is the majority of parents out there today. We are all long on love and short on time. So this workshop is based on my personal experience of raising my children and building a business and building a brand all at the same time. And it's entirely doable. It's very practical, it's very creative, and it absolutely takes into account the fact that very few of you have the opportunity to play Monopoly with your children for 3 hours at a time. When has anybody in the last month played Monopoly with their children? No. Okay, no, you're playing NBA, not Monopoly. But most parents today, the minute they hear the word Monopoly, they think, right, that's quality time with children. Yes, you'd agree. 3 hours playing with a boxed toy, boxed game that'll give us learning and entertainment and interaction at the same time. That would be kind of a definition of quality time with a child. But most of us today do not have 3 hours at a stretch with our kids unless we're on a three-week holiday. And that only happens about once a year. So what are we going to do in the in-between times? Because the in-between times are actually the things that build the fabric of our children's lives, of who they are. And if you're constantly thinking Monopoly, you will say, I'll do that another day. And you keep putting your children on the end of the to-do list if it's Monopoly type time and attention that you need to give them. So parenting on the run is actually about what to do and how to connect when you only have 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 2 minutes with your children. Because much of the time we have with our children is characterized by lots of doing and having to get a lot of stuff done. So this is a very practical philosophy of how to cheat time. That's what I'm going to teach you about tonight, is how to cheat time and how to stay connected with your children despite your busyness. It is doable, but it takes being a conscious parent. So I love that. It's come to my attention that you have a life outside the office. Haha. Well, for you guys, I'm not sure where work, life, and the office, begins and ends, because I think it's become one long continuum. But that's actually the same for everybody. Work and life today is blurring all the time because technology has enabled it. That means we have to decide very consciously when we are going to be on technology, off technology, with our children, connecting with them consciously or not, because it's very, very easy to keep saying, well, you know what, the strategy is important, the assignment's important, the children will still be there tomorrow. So you know what, we'll do the children tomorrow. Yes, I know you're still going to change their nappies and feed them and give them lifts. You're still going to do the essentials. But what parenting on the run is about is how to connect emotionally and create warm, fuzzy memories while you're running. How many of you have a swimming pool at home? Any of you? Okay, now we have a swimming pool, and I am amazed at how much time and attention a pool requires. I always say that if I got as much time and attention as the swimming pool from my husband, I'd be very happy. But my husband has been very clever with our children. From little, he engaged them with all the things that he would just normally do. And by the time they were 5 and 6, they were testing the swimming pool water for him because he taught them how. By the age of 9 and 10, they were able to put in the chlorine and all those things for him. And if you are prepared to share, I promise you, you build a team. It's exactly the same as in business. You can't do it all yourself. You have to put a team together, otherwise you'll kill yourself with all the things that have to be done. What is family, after all, if it is not a team? And it is your children's first experience of being on a team, and yet we serve them hand and foot, and we position ourselves more as either their disciplinarian or their slave. And that does not help you get through your day. Right, so we need to turn very ordinary moments with our children into extraordinary memories. Because at the end of the day, when your children look back, you want them to have something positive to say about their childhood. Because if you don't consciously think about this, you might find yourself in this position. So in my book, Future Proof Your Child, we ask parents, we challenge them to ask their children who are 8 years and up to describe them in just 3 words. So what is your personal brand? You've all done branding somewhere along the line in your business career. It's what people say about you when you leave the room. It's that instant impression that you leave behind. So a friend of mine who was busy building her business at the time, a single mum, and she was in a huge growth phase. She asked her 11-year-old twins to describe her in just 3 words. They only had one. Rushed. Rushed. She was devastated, but it was a turning point for her to restructure her professional life, to marry with her personal life so that everybody could win. And she has an amazing relationship with those children who matriculated just last year. But she said to me, I don't want to die and then have put on my epitaph, she was rushed. So the question is, what do you want to be known for by your children? It's an important question that we do need to ask. But what I want to say to you is this. All those things that you do in the other 8 hours, not the working, not the sleeping, the other 8 hours when your children are awake and so are you, unless you've got very tiny children. Okay, so when you are in more or less the same orbit as each other, those things that you do in the other 8 hours that you consider chores and wasted time, those generally don't find their way into the photo albums because they're not high days, holidays, and celebrations. But actually, it's the unphotographed moments, the in-between times that make up the fabric of our lives and particularly of our children's lives. It is in those moments when we're in the shopping center, when we're in the car, when we're faced with a traffic jam, when life is tough because we're all tired at this point. We're exhausted most of the time. This is where we transfer our values. This is where we share ourselves with our children and we role model how to be in the world. Okay, this is what is informing them of how to be a human being. So actually we need to reframe all this wasted time and try and transform some of it into quality time on the run, because it seriously does count. You can buy in caregiving, but you cannot buy in parenting. They are 2 completely different things. And sometimes when we're very busy and very efficient people, we can fall into the trap of micromanaging our children like business resources. We have to be very careful of that, because there is a human connection here that can't be broken, that shouldn't be broken. And when we treat them as resources as opposed to our children, we get into trouble. So I do believe we can have quality time on the run. Believe it or not, after all of that, I think it's entirely possible. And when I say having quality time with your children on the run, what I'm actually talking about is moments where we connect emotionally and where we can teach them something at the same time. Because we are the hidden curriculum. You send them to school to learn a lot, but there's more to be learned than can be taught at school. We are the hidden curriculum. It is a visual generation. They are watching us and they are learning more from what we do than from what we say. So now we're going to play. Okay, so we're going to hand out some dinner plates and sets of giant dice, because this is about connecting and communicating despite our busyness. You're going to empty your dice out. In fact, the only dice you need to play with right now is the color dice. So put the other ones on a chair or on the floor. You need to play with the color dice for the first round. There are 4 rounds in this game. So here's the first game. You are going to throw the dice from person to person. You'll throw it on the plate. So the first person throws it and it comes up as orange. Now everybody in the group has got to shout out something that is orange. Once you've all called out something that's orange, the next person gets a turn to throw the dice. And it'll come up as green. Now you all got to think of something that's green, not something that's in the room. Guys, we're thinking out of the box tonight. Okay, be as creative and as imaginative as you can be. So you know what? Kids with green, what might they think of? Think like a kid. Okay, we are prepared to pay 8,999 for something that can dumb our children down. Okay? Right, next game. I want you to take your dot dice and put it on the plate. And now you're going to throw the dot dice in a circle and you're going to add it as you go. So 2 plus 3 is 5 and the 2 plus... Okay, keep going until I tell you to stop.
You're watching Global Confidence Television. Play with your kids with Nikki Bush.
Okay, and there's been a bit of relaxation because laughter, of course, makes us relax. It gives us endorphins and whatever. We've had fun. Guys, we forget to play. Play is the language of childhood. Play is a child's work. If you want to connect with a child, play with them. You can talk till you're blue in the face. But if you develop a culture of play from an early age, and a lot of you have still got very young children, you are building a language that transcends any other language. And when you're having a problem with a child, play. Play. It is the quickest way to build an emotional bridge to a child. And you've just played for a sum total of about 12 minutes. That's all. 12 minutes. Never go anywhere with your children without something to play with. If you have these in your cubby hole or in your handbag or in your computer bag, whether your children are 2 years old or 12 years old, you have something to play with them. And we were at dinner when Matthew was about 14. And he said, "Dad, remember flap your wings and fly?" And I went, "Oh, what is flap your wings and fly?" And then I felt very left out. I said, "What is that?" And they said, "Oh, Mum, don't you remember when we used to make the fruit shakes with Dad?" They said it was more than a fruit shake. We used to stand on the floor and we have to flap our wings. Then he would pick us up and fly us around the kitchen, and then he would land us right next to the liquidizer, and only then could we press the button. So my husband had this entire ritual with the children that was completely a secret from me. I had no idea. And they're teenagers and they're talking about what Dad did with them. Very important, the kind of memories that we leave our children. Create special family celebrations. So we've got our family plate. I don't know what it is that you have. Please be invitational. Get your children in to help. So very, very important. Remember that you're the role model. They are watching you more than they're listening to you. So, mums, when you call for dinner and Dad's lying on the couch, don't expect the children to move, because they won't. I've seen it. I call it monkey see, monkey do. If my husband doesn't get up when I call for dinner, nobody moves. Please be fun to be with. Every now and again, you need to be a source of magic, wonder, and surprise. It doesn't have to happen every day, and it doesn't have to happen every minute. But every now and again, be a source of magic, wonder, and surprise. Remember, parenting doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be neat and tidy. It can look like all sorts of things. You need to you need to play a little bit, loosen up a little bit. And you need to be building emotional collateral, because if you do this in the early years, you've got something to pull on in the more challenging teenage years, because they do get more challenging as your children shut themselves away and the peer group becomes more important. You need to dig foundations deep and wide when they're young, and you need to build those emotional bridges to them so that one day they can walk back over those emotional bridges to you. And they do, by the way. From the age between 16 and 24, they actually do start walking back over that bridge if it exists. But you have to be the one to build it. So, the bottom line is we need to take back our power. We keep handing our children over to other people. We keep saying that teacher, psychologist, coach, whatever, should be able to do it all better than me. But actually, remember what I said earlier, you can buy in caregiving, but you cannot buy in parenting. You have a very special and unique role in your children's lives. You need to choose to share time, space, and pace with your children from time to time. It's not all about you and it's not all about them. It's about meeting in the middle every now and again. And then understand and remember the power of play. Play touches, play builds, play teaches, play heals, and play loves. Play does all of these things. And I end off with my favorite poem of all time. I tried to teach my child with books. He gave me only puzzled looks. I tried to teach my child with words. They passed him by, often unheard. Despairingly, I turned aside. How do I teach my child? I cried. Come, he said, play with me. Come, he said, play with me. Come, he said, play with me. Thank you very much.
Thank Nikki, this was really awesome. Wish you all the best and hopefully we'll get another lecture like this very soon. Thank you.
Okay, the session was so informative and I thank the Henley for inviting me and I look forward to engaging with my child. Yes, I'm a single mom. I do have my career. I do have to look after schoolwork. I've got other activities that I'm busy working on. But then as from today, I'll start making it a point that I've got enough time with her, engage with her, and also play together because I just do not have time to play with her.
So I think we all got an inherent ability inside to know what's best for our kids and how to develop their needs and to be there for them. But the reality is sometimes we forget in our busy lives. So just about repositioning us, taking us back to the basics and giving us good tricks and sort of solutions on how we can get there. So yeah, very excited to re-engage with slightly differently with my daughter when I get home.
As a prospective student, I found this actually very valuable because every time you think about progressing, you think about the time that you're going to lose out. So you end up not doing the things you want to do because you're worried of the time you're going to miss out with the family. So for me, it actually gave a totally different view of how you can actually still be a present parent instead of a remote control parent and still try achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve in your career.
This is Billy Selekan from Global Conference Television, changing the world one inspired and transformed person at a time.
Please keep watching Global Conference TV.
Please keep watching Global Conference Television.
You are watching Global Conference Television.
Changing the world
One inspired
And transformed person at a time.